I've danced since I was 3 years old, and it's just kind of a part of me at this point. So I can't imagine life without dancing.
And what made you get into dance as a kid?
I went to go see the Nutcracker. It was National Ballet of Canada. And I just kind of sat in the audience and I was overwhelmed with everything. And I just thought, wow, this is just the most spectacular thing. And I would love to be a part of something like this.
And when was the point when you knew it was the catalyst that you wanted to make dancing your career?
When I was 10 years old, I auditioned for the National Ballet School in Toronto. And I was accepted. And it's kind of at that age, if you want to be a ballet dancer, you kind of have to commit. And there wasn't a doubt in my mind. I actually got to perform in the Nutcracker while I was a student at the school. It was kind of one of the first full circle moments that I had, just reassured that this is what I wanted to do.
What was it like seeing your friends from childhood have that kind of quote unquote normal existence, and then you were kind of fully immersing yourself in the world of dance?
I think that maybe the biggest sacrifice was not being able to see my parents all the time and live with them at age 10. That was a little hard, and to figure out how to do laundry and things like that when I was little.
What would you say is the biggest turning point during those formative years when you were at the National Ballet School?
2 years later, when I was 12, I was told that I was not reaccepted and wouldn't be going back. The ballet world is very, very particular about body type and shape and function, and my knees were not hyperextended. So my knee joints were not right for classical ballet.
So you got kicked out because there was an issue with how your knees looked or how they performed?
How they looked.
Really?
It was an aesthetic thing.
As a 12-year-old, what does that do to you mentally?
It was really upsetting. I was absolutely crushed by it.
How do you come back from that?
I had an uncle of mine who was also a dancer, and he sat me down and told me that I was still going to be a dancer and I could still do it, and just provided me support and talked me through it. And I owe a lot to him. I went to school at Marymount Manhattan College, and they had a very well-rounded program.
You're in New York, 18, 19 years old, one of the most exciting cities in the world. So were you able to enjoy New York City as a typical college student might?
Being in New York City as an aspiring dancer was such a special, special time in my life. We would start every day with a modern technique class, which was an hour and a half, and then we would have a ballet technique class, which was an hour and a half, and then we would have academic classes on top of that, and then come back and rehearse pieces that we were going to perform in the show. So it was, our day would start at 8:30, and sometimes we would be there till 10 and then have to do homework. So it was a very, very intense program.
So you just came off the tour with the Phantom of the Opera, which gave you a great opportunity to travel. I know you were in Hawaii for a couple of weeks. What do you have to sacrifice in terms of relationships when you're traveling?
It's definitely hard to keep in touch with loved ones when you're on tour. I would kind of visit my family and friends whenever we had a chance, whether it be a week layoff or a day off in between cities. You really have to make time and prioritize those relationships, because those are the people that got me where I am.
Are you noticing a difference in how you have to not just prepare your body beforehand, but how you have to kind of treat any nagging injuries after a performance?
As I'm getting older, I definitely feel the impact of 20 plus years of putting my body through very intense kind of physical requirements. And so warming up is more important than it's ever been before.
Now, when you are lacking motivation, either it being for leading up to a performance or just a training day, how do you get past that?
Gratitude is huge for me, and just to kind of stop and reflect on all of the things that have brought me to where I am.
How do you deal with nerves and anxiety?
Being a dancer is just as hard mentally as it is physically. And I think just in the same way that you're taking care of your body every day, you have to take care of your mental health and your emotional stability. So I definitely try to meditate every day, especially on a high stress day like a performance or an audition.
So with sports, you're able to kind of measure success with wins and losses. Mm-hmm. So how do you measure success as a dancer?
Oh, that's a very good question. I think that just the fact that we continue to push on despite any sort of rejection or quote unquote failure, I think that in itself is a success.
What areas are you still improving in, and how are you able to improve after 2 decades as a dancer?
All the jobs out there for dancers require you not only to be a great dancer, but to have other skill sets as well, which include acting or singing or tumbling. I just always want to be learning as much as I can.
Austin, thank you. It was a pleasure.
Thank
Best of
you
luck
so
with the rest
much.
of your career.
Thank you.